Hi, Christian here from the Film Edit. Today we're going to be talking about the film structure in a 2-hour feature film. A lot of you may be editing short films, music videos, weddings, what have you. The important thing to note is that when you are editing a feature film, it's a completely different beast. And obviously, as you know, a feature film is broken down into 5 reels, sometimes 6, sometimes 7 reels at most. I personally like to do 5 reels, and the reason for that is because I like to follow something called the 6-stage plot structure, and we're going to be taking a look at it right here. The 6-stage plot structure is essentially a guide for you to structure your film. I like to choose 5 reels to edit my feature films because of these 5 turning points. Turning point number 1, turning point number 2, 3, 4, and 5. And what these turning points are is essentially a very specific moment in time that really turns the story around. So first things first, as an editor, what I like to do is specifically delineate and understand the 5 scenes that are turning points for the whole story. Okay, so let's take a look really briefly at what those 5 scenes are in feature films that you are familiar with. So we're gonna go here to our text edit. So let's look at a recent film called The Shape of Water. Some of you know that this film won a lot of awards. And so we're gonna be looking at it. So The Shape of Water. The opportunity, let's open this up right here. So the opportunity is turning point number 1. So what we're looking at is what are the 5 scenes that act as turning points in the film. And before we start editing a feature film, we have to identify those 5 scenes so that we can edit towards the buildup of each act. So let's look at turning point number 1, the opportunity. The opportunity in The Shape of Water is she connects with the monster. So that scene where she's connecting with the monster, she sneaks into the lab where they have the monster and she begins connecting. So that is the turning point. That is the opportunity. That is, she was living a regular life until she went into that lab and connected with the monster and the creature. So that is a turning point in her life. So that is the opportunity. Number 2 is the change of plans. That's turning point number 2, the change of plans. That's when, exactly before I reveal this, change of plans is exactly when the protagonist has decided to pursue his or her objective. And so everything changes. It's the turning point. It's where now she or he has decided that they're going to pursue their objective and fulfill their need. So change of plans is she cries and begs to her caretaker, the gay artist, to please help her steal the monster scene. And the objective of the whole film is set.
I'm looking. You've never quite hit me. When he looks at me, the way he looks at me, he does not know what I like.
Saving the monster is exactly saving herself. That's her need. That's why she needs to do it. So change of plans. That's when her objective is set. Boom, this is what we need to do. We need to save him in order to save me. Because that's how she feels connected. That's how she feels herself. That's how she fell in love. So now we're going to be looking at turning point number 3, and that's called the point of no return. That's exactly when there's absolutely no going back to a regular life anymore. Everything the character has done, there is absolutely nothing that can stop or save this train. They are absolutely there's no way out of this. No way to go back to regular life. And this point is usually, everything is getting more complicated. There's more conflict. There's more at stake. So it's the point of no return, turning point number 3. And turning point of no return is when she steals the monster with the help of Octavia Spencer and her caretaker. So as you guys remember the getaway scene.
What? She's waiting for you at the dock. Go now!
There's no going back to a regular life anymore. They now have this government created creature in their hands, and there's absolutely no going back. And so when they are in the car with the monster on their way home, this is the point of no return. So it's usually one scene. As you can see, opportunity, connecting with the monster, change of plans. She's already decided what she wants to do. The point of no return. She steals the monster with the help of Octavia in the car. And then number 4, we have the major setback. That's turning point number 4. Things are getting more complicated and more complicated and more complicated, and the major setback, meaning everything is lost. Turning point number 4, this scene is when everything is absolutely lost, in the sense of we have absolutely no idea how our character is going to get out of this. We have no understanding how our character is going to find a solution to this horrendous problem. And so it's a major setback, and it's pretty much, it makes us feel horrific that there's so much conflict and that this event happened. And so that is turning point number 4, or scene 4, and that is the major setback. So the major setback in The Shape of Water is where Michael Shannon enters her home and sees the calendar that says on Tuesday they will go to the pier.
Where are you? Where the fuck are you?
Is where we all feel really horrific that Michael Shannon was able to find out where she's gonna be, because that means she's gonna get caught, and everything's gonna be lost. She won't be able to run away anymore. She won't be able to fall in love. She won't be able to be with the monster anymore. She won't be able to be herself. So Michael Shannon finally found out that Michael Shannon's gonna ruin her life. So, and then turning point number 5, it's the climax. It's a scene of most conflict. As you guys know, climax, the monster gets shot by Shannon. So that is the whole shootout scene. There's so much emotion in there, and so you guys understand what the climax is. So as you guys can know, these 5 scenes are very, very important for you to find out what these 5 scenes are before you start editing. These 5 turning points. Let's look really quickly at Captain Phillips. Number 1, opportunity. The captain reads an email at night on the ship that says the Somali coast is infested with pirates. So that's where his whole need changes. That his life is now changed because of it. He had a regular life. He was gonna get on the boat. They knew they were going around the Horn of Africa. But now this is where his life changes. It's an opportunity for a horrific change. And he reads that email that says, be careful because there's gonna be pirates at any point in time. Change of plans. Turning point number 2, change of plans. This scene, a group of pirates attempts to take over the ship. There's gunfire, but ultimately fail. The objective of the film is set, just like this one. The objective of the film is set, aka to survive these waters.
Both skiffs carry an armed man. Distance?
1.25 miles and closing.
Yeah, Cap. I want to bring it up to 125.
You're still good.
125.
The objective of the film is to survive. And so right there, change of plans. So now that pirates essentially tried to take the ship, now there's a clear objective to survive. So right here, opportunity point one is usually a setup of conflict of our regular life has changed, but now this is where the objective is set because something drastic just happened. So a group of pirates attempts to take over the ship. Horrific. Turning point number three, that's the point of no return. There's absolutely no going back. They finally hijack the whole ship the next day, the hijacking scene. So that hijacking scene is turning point three. As you can see, everything is lost here in the sense of there's no way they can save themselves anymore.
If the pirates find you, remember, you know the ship, they don't. Make them feel like they're in charge, but keep them away from the important things like the generator and the engine controls. Stick together, and we'll be all right. Good luck.
Take everybody down to the bottom of the engine room. I want you to hide them behind the cylinders. Try to split them up into groups of 3s and 4s.
They hijack the film. The major setback where everything is lost. There's an insane amount of conflict, and that is where they kidnap the captain and put him at gunpoint on a lifeboat back to Somalia. So, as you guys know, the famous orange boat where they kidnap him, and so everything is lost. We thought, okay, they're gonna take $30,000 and they're gonna leave, and we're so happy because they're gonna leave and happy ending. Nope, let's kidnap the captain. So the writer, Paul Greengrass, decided to add more conflict by staying true to the actual story, which is they decided to kidnap the captain, and so that was perfectly set up. Major setback has to feel almost like its own climax. It's its own climax to Reel 3, really. And what I mean by that is you have to edit Reel 3 in a way that it creates much more conflict that we've never ever seen before. It has to feel incredibly disturbing if you're editing a drama, in the sense of everything has there's absolutely no solution to this problem anymore. And if you can edit Reel 3 to a point where the audience cannot recognize how the protagonist is going to get out of this, the better. And the climax, of course, they're about to shoot the captain in the head while the Navy SEALs try to shoot all 3 Somalians at the same time. So that's, you guys remember that crazy scene.
$117.
2 green, 1 red. We do not have a shot.
OSS, I need eyes on.
Sir, they're gonna shoot him.
Mustang, some of you have seen this. This is a film that's on Netflix. You guys should watch it. It's a beautiful film. I won't go into detail because the majority of you don't know that film. Let's look at Argo, another Oscar-winning film. So Opportunity is where they kidnap tons of embassy workers while others get placed in the Canadian Prime Minister's home. So the Opportunity, obviously, there's a change in life, in their current whereabouts in life, at a given point in time, there's change. Boom, they kidnap tons of embassy workers. while 5 others get placed. Change of plans, turning point number 2, where their objective is set. CIA and government are working together to devise a plan for rescue.
So we get the Canadians to issue them passports.
What about English teachers at the international school?
It's a good idea, but that school's been closed for 8 months.
Okay, so how about the do-gooders? 6 Canadians have been over there inspecting crops, making sure the kids get enough to eat. We give them creds, makes them look like ag NGOs.
Turning point, scene 3. Ben Affleck gets on the plane and with the pretense of lying to the Iranian government and falsifies docs, and arrived in Iran, entering the Canadian Prime Minister's home, thus meeting the hostages. There is no turning back.
Hi, my name's Kevin Harkins, and I'm gonna get you home.
Major setback, turning point number 4. A kid finally puts together shredded paper of the embassy photograph of one of the hostages, thus alerting immigration, thus alerting airport officials. They have found out who they really are, and although the hostages are about to board and they're at the airport on the road bus on the way to the plane, Iranians will now kill them if they have to. So it's a whole scene where, you know, everything is lost. Just like Michael Shannon right here, he found out Michael Shannon what she's gonna be, and he's gonna intervene. So it's the same thing here. Major setback. The kid puts the shredded paper together, and now the whole Iranian government knows where they are, that they're getting on a plane right now, so they're gonna intervene. Same thing, everything is lost. And now the climax, the cars behind the plane during takeoff, that whole chase scene, the hostages hoping the flight attendant doesn't report some bad news to them. So it's great. And last but not least, actually no, we have more. Oh no, this is the last one. Last but not least, the King's Speech. So again, regular life, opportunity, boom. Prince Albert, the Duke of York, needs a new speech and language therapist as nothing has worked, but Linus' methods are unorthodox, thus raising curiosity from Elizabeth to go see him in hopes it will cure his speech impediment.
I've nearly swallowed the bloody things!
Thank you so much, Doctor. It's been most, interesting.
All right, Highness.
It's marvels, you get it? Insert his own bloody marvel.
So again, he needs curing, and so his life was normal until he was, he had to speak so much in public that now is the time to find a therapist. But none of them work. None of them are finding the cure for him. So finally, he comes across Lionel, who has unorthodox methods, and that is the whole opportunity for the film. And then change of plans. There's an objective set. After the practice session and much egos and saying no numerous times, Prince Albert finally agrees that he will engage in a speech relationship with Lionel. The objective has been set to cure his speech impediment.
To be or not to be, that is the question. Whether it is nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arms against a sea of troubles and by opposing end them. To die, to sleep, no more. And by a sleep to say we end the heartache and the thousand natural shocks the flesh is heir to. 'Tis a consummation hopeless. Hopeless. Strictly business. No personal nonsense.
Yes, I thought I made that clear in our interview.
Have you got the shilling you owe me?
No, I haven't.
Turning point. After Albert's father dies, the king, his brother becomes king. Lionel pushes him to instead be king and to tackle his fears, thus enraging Albert with anger and breaking off the work relationship and friendship. Albert has to face essential cancer without Lionel's help. There is no Albert to cure anymore. Everything is lost.
Let us commend our brother George to the mercy of God, our Maker and Redeemer.
Long live the King.
I hope I will make good as he has made good.
The major setback is that his brother Albert is now king, and his brother dethrones himself and has now to give a speech calling Lionel back. So now Colin Firth is now going to be king because his brother gave it up. However, Albert finds Lionel lied about his qualifications. The bishop told on him, and his education is a bunch of lies and that he is a mere peasant. Lionel explains that there was no education back in the day, but his experience with Australian soldiers make him experienced in the field. Lionel then sits at the king's throne, infuriating Albert. Nonetheless, Lionel inspires him to be the best king in the world. Other subplots build intensity throughout this part. So yeah, it's that whole scene where you guys remember he was sitting in that chair in that huge church, and he caught him lying, and eventually inspired him to be the best king he could. Reel 3 has to be edited in a way that completely builds and builds and builds, so that it reveals the climax of the major setback. Everything has to be lost in here. There's absolutely no solution to this problem that the protagonist is facing. And so Bernie here, he has no idea how he's going to cope anymore. Now that he is king, how in the world is he going to give the most important speeches that he needs to give, a speech that the whole world needs to listen to? How is he going to do that now that he is king? So it's not only an internal conflict, but it's also a super objective, a super external conflict, as they call it in screenwriting, in which it now affects the whole world. It now affects other people. It's not an internal conflict anymore. So it's very important to delineate that climax of Reel 3, which is the major setback, very carefully in the edit.
Will be able to take my place forthwith without interruption or injury to the life and progress of the Empire.
And the climax is obviously the most beautiful scene in cinema. Lionel has to help King George VI one way or the other. There's Albert freaking out about giving the most important speech in history, the declaration of war with Nazi Germany, where millions will listen over the radio. So the most beautiful scene, I think, in cinema was when Beethoven's symphony was edited, was placed over that edit, over the climax, and it's just beauty.
But I now call my people at home and my peoples across the seas, who will make our cause their own. I ask them to stand calm and firm and united in this time of trial. The task will be hard. There may be dark days ahead, and war can no longer be confined to the battlefield. But we can only do the right as we see the right, and reverently commit our cause to God. If one and all we keep resolutely faithful to it, then, with God's help, we shall prevail.
So anywho, so as you can see, every film has 5 scenes. Every single film you'll come across has 5 scenes. And those 5 scenes are very important for you to understand what they are in the script and what they actually shot, to see how you're going to structure your reels and hence the whole film, and how you're going to connect all of these, thus raising conflict all throughout. It should obviously be a line that continues to raise in conflict, just like this. So That's something for you to, guys, really understand and grasp before you attempt to edit a film. And one little thing that I like to do is obviously, just go into index card mode and completely delineate where each scene is going to be. And so again, opportunity, boom, from 1 minute to 15 minutes, change of plans at 15 minutes, and then we have later here, point of no return at 40 minutes, major setback at 65 minutes, climax at 75 minutes. So again, you should be completely structured about this whole process. So you should not only find the 5 scenes, but you should eventually storyboard or index card all the scenes in each reel that are building conflict, and that is going to really allow you to understand if you need that scene, or you should throw away that scene, or maybe restructure that scene later in the film or somewhere, or use it later somewhere else, or maybe shorten it. Whatever it is, you have to start, before you start with the index cards, where are we? Right here. Before you start, you have to start with these 5 scenes, this 5 structure turning points, and then you'll start with each scene in between that will allow you to know if you're on the right path, if you're actually telling the story. And so although this is a more screenwriting approach, it's very, very, very crucial that you understand this structure, because this is how you will build reels, and this is how you will build the whole film. And make things clear, make the main plot and the subplots and the subplot B and subplot C very, very clear in the story. Do we actually need subplot C? Nope. Okay, let's throw it away because it's distracting from the main objective of the film. These are answers that you will find when you begin to index card the turning points and index card every scene. And I want you to tape it to a wall so that you can look at it during the edit and really understand all of it. So that's all for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Film Edit. I urge you to please subscribe to our channel. We are also on IGTV. Find us on Instagram at the Film Edit. We're going to be publishing all episodes at IGTV in there, and as well as YouTube. So please subscribe, please follow us. Thank you so much, and see you next time. Bye bye.